Hi, my name is Denisha Merriweather, founder of Black Minds Matter, and I am so excited we are doing it again. We have a Black owned school virtual tour and we are in Carolina. I heard this story through one of our partners at Carolina Can, and I just had to reach out to Dr. Turner to hear more about her school. They shared this video of me of an inspiring student, Javon, who went to her school, and I'm listening to the interview, and it says, "And I'm a Black school founder," and I'm like, I gotta reach out to Dr. Turner to get her on. So, Dr. Turner, thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate you being on at such and so quickly too. How fast you guys got this schedule. I really appreciate it. So let's just start by giving our audience a little bit of background about you. What brought you to the field of education? Why do you do this work?
Thank you so much for having me, first of all. And we are very familiar with Black Minds Matter, so you're doing some phenomenal work. Um, as most would say, this is absolutely my calling. Just designed for this and didn't really know it until I began to work in the field. So I was a North Carolina teaching fellow with North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, Aggie Pride. And that started me on my way into education when I was a teacher and still am at heart. Taught elementary education, then moved into school administration. Both of those degrees at A&T, by the way. And then finally went back to get my doctorate from Field and Graduate University in organizational development and change, which is change, it's growth, it's learning, it's all education. So yeah, 20, oh my goodness, 25 years now in education professionally, and 20 of those with our school, Quality Education Academy in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Awesome. And so you said this was your calling, and when did that become apparent to you? You just knew, coming out the back, or was there a light bulb that went off, a moment with a student?
Not at all. I had no idea what I wanted to do my senior year in high school. Thought I was going to be a lawyer because I really like to argue and win. Uh, and
Well, you're kind of doing that because I'm sure with your students, especially them high school teenagers, you have to argue and win.
or be persuasive.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I'm a teacher at heart and just didn't realize it. You know, my friends were like, "Oh, whenever we played school, you were the teacher." Taught my little cousin how to play piano. You know, taught the neighborhood kids when I was in college. How to read and just teaching. So it kind of it's one of those things that find you, and then when you're offered a full ride, that helps to get the best education as a North Carolina teaching fellow. And so then, yeah, just going into it, finding that lo and behold, this is my calling. So you're not always sure of that at first.
Yeah. And so you became a teacher. And then when did that transition happen to founding a school? And how did that process go for you?
So let me go back a little bit. Taught elementary ed, pre-K, all the way to community college, just the whole gambit. And actually came to teach. Well, I interned at Quality Education Academy years before I knew I would actually be an educator. It was founded as a private school at my childhood church,
That's
Carver Road Church of Christ in Winston-Salem. And so just familiar with the school through the years of working, summers and interning. And then lo and behold, again, came to QEA, taught third grade. So QEA was started as a private school. This was before there were charter schools in North Carolina, by our co-founder Simon S. Johnson. So I sat at his feet in this process, and had no intentions of going into administration. Once again, your calling tends to find you, whether you want to be found or not. and came there teaching third grade. Within a year, was doing curriculum and just continued to grow. The school actually was a big part of me going back to school for my school administration degree and then my doctorate. So Mr. Johnson was the co-founder and kind of had developed this leadership pipeline, which I think was the genius of our school. So private school, 1992, when the state of North Carolina started charters, we were one of the original 33 to be approved in the state. And I think we're maybe one of 18 that are still standing of that original 33. Not sure how many of the for us by us charter schools are still standing. So this is year 31 for us.
Wow.
And yeah, which is huge to
Yeah.
have something for us, by us, filled with us.
Yeah.
Um, it's very unique. And so after, 92 to 97, 97 is when charters came. We, got a charter approved in 1997, and the rest is history. We are K-12. We continue to operate our private pre-K, 1, 2, 3 year old, 1, 2, 3, and 4 year old. And it's K-12 public charter now. So
That's
20 years later for that.
That's amazing, and I bet it was such a great opportunity to be able to serve more students transitioning from private to charter,
Yes.
because private is tuition based, and it's a struggle, especially if students don't have the means to pay. And in the choice world, that's why we have scholarships that we lobby and want to see passed. ESAs, tax credit scholarships, vouchers, to make sure that students are able to pay those tuition dollars to go to private schools. But what a treat to transition to charter so that you can open up the floodgates and accept students in. That's amazing. I
Exactly.
bet. Hmm. Yeah, that's
And the part, being private and seeing that our families, that look like us. I mean, we serve our direct community, right? And most of us live within our direct community. To see
awesome.
that families that look like us want the best for their children as well, even if they cannot afford a private education. They have the same passion, they have the same desire to see their children be successful. And so the charter movement was a blessing to our community to be able to have that private school feel. We have a very strict, uniform policy, very strict discipline policy. It's got that feel, but to be, free and available to the first come, first serve. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But talk to me a little bit about that, because you're touching on the politics of the situation, which is something that unfortunately a lot of our schools have to deal with when, like you said, your first words, that passion to come in and to want to make a difference in the lives of students is the number one driver of why you and so many Black school founders across the country get into this line of work. But then you're slapped with stereotypes and politics around education. And like you mentioned, that is one of the main ones that people often say, oh, those Black parents, they don't care about their kids. We can just put them in these subpar schools. They don't really care. They're not gonna do whatever means necessary to get their kids into a good education, get into a good school environment. Talk to me a little bit about some of those issues that you faced in operating school.
Well, just what you said, the biggest hurdle often for us is countering those negative stereotypes. When they see a school leader that looks like me, and a staff that's 100% Black and brown, a student body that is 99% Black and brown, um, countering those, and internally for us, for the community that we serve, that's a battle. And then of course externally, we're aware of that battle.
Yeah,
But I think that, nothing can stop an empowered and determined people.
that's right.
And so when we start to see, oh, we can do this ourselves. We have everything we need
Yeah.
right here in our own community. In fact, who is going to educate us better than us? Who has the wherewithal to do this better than us?
Mhm.
I say no one. I say no one. So, families and parents, grandparents, I mean, literally the village, seeing that, okay, we have something that's excellent,
Yeah.
and it's still for us and by us and filled with us. It's creating a type of community, really. Being somewhere and being a staple in our community for the last 31 years,
Yeah.
everyone knows QEA, right? We were affectionately called QEA, shortening Quality Education Academy. And they know it's like, okay, it's like family, and so the same way that auntie or uncle, is going to get on you, or grandma, granddaddy is going to get on you, and make sure, okay, there's a standard for how you carry yourself. There's a standard for how you respond. There's a standard for showing respect to your elders, and some of the cultural principles that are important to us.
Mhm.
Um, that's why we exist. That's why we're still here. As a charter school, no families, no school. We're nobody's district school, right? So everyone pulls their child from their district school to come to our school, which
Yeah.
says a lot right there. And the fact that families are realizing they have a choice, that they have options, is huge. Is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. What is so? Tell me the mission of Quality Education Academy. What's the impact you guys are hoping to make in students' lives?
So I'll share the vision, I think, which is a little overarching of that even, and it's to have an educational organization, right? That to be the means to develop a community. So it's far bigger than passing EOGs and EOCs, tests, and it's far what the mission that we're putting on ourselves is far greater than the typical school, right? It is that we can, we used to have um, families and churches and other galvanizing ways to create community, and we have become very fragmented, very, I would say, Eurocentric in our view as far as being very individualistic. And so we realized that the school is our last hope to create that community that many of us grew up enjoying, where it is a village that
Yeah.
is helping to raise a child, and that you can receive correction and encouragement from any of the responsible adults in the village. And so our vision is to have an organizational, educational organization that develops a replicable, self-sufficient, wholesome community.
Mm.
And we're living that vision out, as we speak. And we're really excited about what the next 30 years are going to look like for QEA.
That's amazing. That reminds me of a guy that I met. His name is Derwin Sisnick, and he has a similar vision of having the school be the anchor in the community. And when the school is high quality, and when the school is successful and doing its best to make an impact, that in turn impacts the neighborhood, the entire community. And that's a model that I can get behind, because that, like what your vision is for QE and the impact that you guys are making, that can literally change the trajectory of students' life, which in turn
Oh,
affect their parents and their entire
absolutely.
generation. And that community will never be the same. And that's powerful. That's powerful. For the folks who are listening, you guys know my story, but I graduated from a school choice program, a small private school in Jacksonville, Florida. And that community impact, what you were talking about, is the beginning stages of what's happening in my personal life. As a child, I failed the third grade twice, and it wasn't until I went to a private school that my life and that trajectory changed. And it does. It
Wow.
takes my experience, it takes the anchorage of a good school and a good school environment to make that difference in students' lives. And can you talk to me about? I had the opportunity of hearing one of the stories of one of the students who are just gone out and been so successful. Talk to me a little bit about Javon and his experience at your school and just the awesome stuff that he's up to now.
Yes, we're very proud of our graduate, like we are of all our graduates. But he, in particular, being able to his family choosing to come to QEA at the high school level. Of course, we're K-12, but discovering us at the high school level and joining us at the high school level, and being challenged and pushed and matured so that he's able to take advantage of getting a scholarship to Johnson C. Smith to play basketball and to be that historically black school that's a pipeline to HBCUs,
Yeah.
which we historically have been. When they have that historically black school experience, it just kind of makes sense. It flows that a lot of our graduates do go on to HBCUs. We're very proud of the super high percentage that have college acceptance. Typically, that's about 100% that you are accepted into college with some kind of money. Like that's the end game. But you may, start your own business. You may, opt to do various things, but you have that option there. That the door is not closed because of how QEA sets you up. So Javon is a perfect example. And of course, he's a wonderful young man. It's wonderful that our graduates are out there representing the Q, as we say.
Cute.
They're being
I like that.
they're being so our mascot are the pharaohs, right? The leaders, the original leaders, the black and brown original leaders,
Yeah.
and so that they're out there being pharaohs. They and it's a different kind of graduate that when you come through that, especially if you are able to come through the whole system, it's a different kind of person
Yeah.
that comes out the other end of that system, right? And they go on to dominate wherever they go. They always end up leaders wherever they go. There's no question that's going to happen. They're very comfortable public speaking. They're very comfortable, expressing themselves with whomever. And those are some of our mission specific outcomes. One of them, a really huge one, is being proud of your indigenous culture. We believe that's the foundation to the striving. It's like, okay, well, why make straight A's? Well, you make straight A's because that is part of your legacy. You have entered into a legacy that predated you, right? So there's no question. Yes, that's what you're going to do because that is where you come from. That's who you are, and you can. So he is a perfect example of that. We're very proud of him. He has a pretty hectic schedule. Yeah, so we're very proud of our graduates. Javon Floyd, athlete at Johnson C. Smith. Let me get that HBCU name correct. And so the question was kind of, what was your experience coming into QEA, and how did that? I don't know, how did that shape you? I guess I'm facilitating this now. I guess. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Go ahead,
But you can share whatever you like, Javon.
Gotcha. Okay. So prior to going to QEA, I went to predominantly white schools, which were often overpopulated. I remember most of my classes were like a 1 to 30 teacher student ratio, and yeah, that really made it hard, especially trying to get tutoring. Because you have students from all these other classes trying to get tutoring within like a 1 hour span, and it's like a repeat of class, really. Um, and yeah, that really just it kind of made me feel like a number. instead of like an individual, and also there were less diverse, not only the students but the faculty and staff. There were it wasn't that very diverse. It wasn't people that looked like me that were like faculty, staff, administration, and yeah, and also at those schools I didn't learn. Well, I wouldn't say I didn't learn. We learned about certain Black heroes, Black leaders, and Black successful Black people like Harriet Tubman or Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, but we didn't go in depth with that really. Um, but when I went to QA, a Black led school, of course, we like the classroom size was much smaller, made it way easier for me to learn personally. Um, yeah, and like I can remember my AP my senior year, my AP environment science class. It was a teacher student ratio of like 1 to 5. It was like I was 1 to 5 students. Like yeah, like they brought it like that at home feeling, and yeah, it just made it so much easier to learn, easy to get tutoring. I could call my teacher whenever and I needed help. It was just like they're always there for me.
That's awesome. So why did you choose to go to a charter school for your for your high school years?
Uh, Part of it was because I knew the head coach. That was part of it. But my little brother, he had also attended QA before, and like he attended QA when he was little. But yeah, I always wanted to see what that was like. So that really helped shape my decision to go to QA.
So you came in, thinking, okay, I'm about to be all about sports. Did you anticipate loving the school so much?
No,
Uh,
nah, I can't even lie. I mean, I did when I first came to QA. It was that kind of like sports mentality. And like this is my senior year, but when I got there, it was like they welcomed me with open arms. Always made sure I was okay. Always checked up on me. Always was there for me. Always supportive on and off
Oh,
the
tell the
court.
truth now. You just telling us what we want to hear now.
No, 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 I'm for
He's
real.
like, I got
Want to get
Dr.
on?
Turner on. I gotta say all the right things.
Yeah, but like it was just so much support on and off the court, really, in the
Mm.
classroom, and that really helped me prosper, not only as an athlete, not only as a student, but as the man I am today.
Yeah. And so we are doing this series. We do tours across virtual tours across the country with black owned schools. And so when I saw y'all's video come through, I'm like, I gotta do one with you guys. How what and you talked about it extensively, just the impact that it made in your academic journey to go to a school with people who look like you and who are gonna push you to be all that you can be. How did that influence your college that you go to? You're playing now for HBCU, playing basketball for HBCU. How did that impact that decision?
It really just made me want to have that feeling going on into college, really. And that was a feeling that I got with my coaches. Like they had, when my coaches were recruiting me, they always made sure I was okay. Always supported me. They always they always constantly checked up on me, And then when I took my visit to Johnson C. Smith, yeah, I really just got that kind of at home feeling that I had got at QEA.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you went to a charter school. And so charter schools, if you know there are public schools that are operated independently. And so you went to a choice school. What does education freedom and school choice mean to you, and just having that ability to for your parents to direct your path and as far as your education?
Can you repeat that last part?
Yeah, your parents being able to pick the different school environment they wanted you to be a part of. How does that make you feel?
How does that make me feel? It makes me feel great, really. And they heavily influenced my decision to go to QEA. And they really it was awesome. Just the experience. And even before going to QA, it was like the administration staff. They were all like they're gonna support me regardless if I come to QA or not. and that was really what made me really want to attend QEA.
Yeah, and Dr. Turner, I'll also ask you, what does education freedom and school choice mean to you? Just being a school operator, what does that mean to you, and that impact that you're trying to make?
It is, I feel like it is how we're able to create the community that we're creating. There's an empowerment that comes with making that decision, right? And knowing that you have a choice, and it's not just you live here, so therefore this is your district school, right? Whether it's failing, whether it's been failing for 30 years or not, this is where you go, right? And so to be able to say, well, I want something, I'm looking for something different,
Mhm.
right? And not that only our private schools, folks that can pay for that have those options, but now anyone, everyone, has that option. If you happen to have a school of choice, a high quality school of choice near you, you have that option. It's the reason we exist. It's the reason that, and it's the reason that we were started, right? We were started because families were saying, hey, I feel like there's got to be some other options because my child is not being successful. I know my child is brilliant, but it doesn't seem like the teachers care or like the administration really care. Like, Javon was saying, they were just a number, and it's like, take it or leave it. We don't care. Whereas, charter school, we understand that the parent is our customer
Customer, yeah.
and the student is a client that we serve. It's a different mindset. And so that's the reason we exist. We were started because we have many families, often single mothers raising sons who's saying, my child is being underserved. And that's literally how we even began to craft our charter,
Yeah.
is to support those families that need us. And so we exist because there's a need.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it is, with schools of choice, as operators, you have a different set of checks and balances. The parent, like you said, I love it how you said the parent is the customer and the students are our clients. And if they're not pleased, they can get up and go. And that's a different set of accountability that is
Mhm.
not present within the traditional sector. And and that's how it should be, really. We should be having where the customer is the parent and the client is the student, because when we have a system like that, that means we're going to try our best. We're going to be putting our best foot forward to make sure that our customers and our clients are pleased and they are getting a high quality education. Just recently, the nation's report card came out with the ninth grade results for NAEP, and it's dismal. We are, for ninth graders, they're uh, doing twice as bad as they were 2 years ago. And that's unacceptable. And for black and brown students, they were doing twice as poorly. And so when we have the district school, and those were where the numbers came from, that are not serving, in my opinion, to be quite blunt, our black and brown students effectively, we need to provide them with alternative means to get a high quality education. And in the line of work that I'm doing, those are schools of choice. Those are schools like QEA. And so I'm so happy that you are
Mhm.
doing the business and have been around for so long, because since the pandemic, we've had a lot of schools open up. We've had a lot of people say, you know what, I can do as bad as them.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they've founded schools. But to have QE to be around for 31, is that what you said? 31
31 this year.
counting
Yes.
years. That is how old I am. So that's literally been around my entire existence. So that's amazing. Any last words? Anything you want to leave our listeners with? How they can reach out to you? How they can find you? Javon, you didn't tell us what you were up to. We already know, because Dr. Turner told us. But if you can tell us what you're up to these days, and any last words for our listeners.
Um, I'm really just trying to spread awareness to Black families. Tell them that there are over 25 Black led schools just in the state of North Carolina. Um, they don't have to wait. They do not have to wait to get that kind of mini HBCU experience, you know. And they have the choice, and they can choose black.
That's awesome. I love it.
Love it. Again, we're a Quality Education Academy in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Please check out www.queschools.org. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and see what we're up to and the amazing things that we're doing. There's a lot of great things to come.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Black Minds Matter. I hope you would check out Quality Education Academy and continue to follow the great journey of Javon Floyd, who is a basketball player at JCC in North Carolina.
John C. Smith, yep.
Thank you. It's wonderful.